good to be back here. If I could ask everybody to please find their seats. We'll get things up to the 54th Philippine Mining Club Luncheon. My name is Kevin Lewis. I hope you all have an enjoyable, informative time with us today. More people are on their way. I'd like to mention some very important people to us. We'd like to thank All Lakes Sykes Drill Corp, Autotech. Lawrence should be here, or is he running? There he is, Lawrence is here. Can we just give Lawrence a round of applause, please? Intertech, Kazor Compression. Line X, Christoph is with us. Chris, if you can just put your hand up, please. Right, there he is. Thank you, Christoph. Thanks very much for your assistance. Imdex, Hexagon Mining, Major Drilling, ResourceCom, and Ollie Consulting, which is normally represented by Mr. Leo Dominguez, our regular MC, but unfortunately he's in Singapore today. Weir Minerals delivers end-to-end solutions for all mining, transportation, milling, processing, waste management activities. Unfortunately, Nico Sate can't be with us today. He's at their Southeast Asian hub, which is in Malaysia, at Kuala Lumpur. DB, Santa Solo, David Brown Gear Systems, Philippines Incorporated, suppliers of industrial gear products and aftermarket maintenance services to the Philippine mining industry. David Brown, as a major global OEM, offers clients the convenience and the proximity of a fully equipped, professionally staffed Philippine industrial gear services in Subic Bay. Site Skills Work Ready offers international recruitment workforce solutions to companies in the mining and processing, oil and gas construction industries. And unfortunately, Brett isn't with us today. Our principal partners, OzTai Geophysical Consultants, advice and guidance for geophysical exploration programs being carried out in the mining metals sector, as well as the coal sector. OzTai Geophysical Consultants also provide a wide range of services to the environmental, groundwater and engineering industries. QED, Quest Exploration Drilling, Asia's leading exploration drilling company, modern equipment and well-trained staff, has elevated QED to become a benchmark for international standard drilling operations in terrain that is generally typified by logistical constraints, geological complexities and topographical extremes. And unfortunately, Alan can't be with us today. We are represented by QED. Thank you very much. GHE has a permanent presence in the Philippines since 1998 with over 600 professional staff spread across 3 cities in the Philippines. That is their main office in Makati and the 2 branches now in Cebu City and Quezon City. Focused on creating lasting community benefits, GHD leverages on its connected global network of over 10,000 employees to provide engineering, environmental management services to key players in the energy resources sector. From their Philippine Operations Centre, GHD can offer integrated engineering design services with over 10 service groups covering geotech, structural water, civil engineering, architectural, environmental, project management services, and they're well represented today by Mr. Manny Ancheto. Manny, can we get you to stand up and give Manny a warm round of applause? And we thank GHD, QED and OzTai very much for their assistance. Some of our industrial supporters, TVI Resources, and they're well represented here with Jake Ferronda. And Oceanic Gold, Brad Norman is here today, and Benzan Resources. And of course the Mining Club is affiliated with the major groups in the Philippines as well as some abroad. Of course the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines, and we're lucky enough to have their president here today, Mr. Jerry Brimo. Thank you, Jerry, for coming. PNCO, ANSCHAM, which has one of the larger advocacies for the mining industry. And of course the Philippine Mining and Exploration Association. You'll notice they've got a table out there. It's one of the more economical memberships to be in with the industry. And we'll be having an industry update later on from their president, Mr. Joe Ason. And of course our media partner, you would see the Philippine Resources Journal on your tables. Feel free to take as many copies as you feel to take back to the office, whatever you like. But that's represented by Mr. Matt Brimble. Matt, were you here? There's Matt. We'll just give Matt a quick clap. All your industry news is in that journal. Of course, we do at the Mining Club promote other events. So we've got Mines and Money there in Asia on 31st of March, coming up at some of these places, I'm afraid. Hong Kong, having a hard time. Mining Investment Asia, which again is in 17th, 19th of March in Singapore. ConMart, next exhibition in 2020, which is construction and mining. And that is in China. Hopefully things will be sorted out by the time some of these events come about. As I said, our regular MC is not here, but we're very blessed today to have somebody that's been a friend of the mining industry for many, many years, and everybody knows Ma'am Attorney Patricia Bunye. So I'll just say a few things about our EMC today. Patricia Bunye is a senior partner and deputy managing partner for the administration of Cruz, Marcelo and Tena Francia. Patricia heads its Mining and Natural Resources Department and the Energy Practice Group. She's also a partner of the Intellectual Property Department. Patricia is the past president and Licensing Executive Society of International, LESI, 2016 to 2017. First Filipino and Southeast Asian to hold that position. So she's very special. Attorney is also founding president of DUATA, Women in Resources Development, a non-government organisation that advocates responsible development of the Philippines' wealth in resources. And I suggest that anybody, if you can grab Patricia later, if you'd like to know more about DUATA. Attorney is an active member of the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines Legal Committee and is a columnist for the Philippine Resources Journal, which is the publication I just talked about. Attorney Patricia is in the 2019 to the 2018 list of Philippines' top 100 lawyers and has been cited by various international law research publications such as Chambers, Legal 500, Asia Law, among many others. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to put your hands together for Ma'am Attorney Patricia Bunye. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be back here, and I'm happy to be pinch hitting for my dear friend Leo Dominguez, who is traveling. Before I proceed, I would like to acknowledge first our students who are at the table at the back. I understand we have a group from the University of the Philippines. Could you please stand up to be recognized? Let's give them all a warm round of applause. We also have a group from Mapua who are geology and geological engineering students. Please rise so we can recognize you. And also from Adamson University, geology students. Welcome. So we'd like to remind our students that your future employer may be in this room today, so please don't forget to mingle and introduce yourselves, because a number of students who have attended the Philippine Mining Luncheon have been employed due to their attendance here, and the Philippine Mining Club has been indirectly responsible for a number of young people obtaining employment through the club. So again, let's give our students a warm round of applause. And through the generosity of our sponsors, they do attend this luncheon free of charge. So thank you again to our generous sponsors. We'd also like to welcome our patron, Ambassador Delia Domingo Albert, who is also the chairman of DUATA Women in Resource Development. We would like to also welcome a number of VIPs in the audience today, starting with the Director of the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, Attorney Wilfredo Moncano. Welcome, Director. Welcome also to Mr. Jared Brimo, President and Chairman of Nickel Asia Corporation and President of the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines. Mr. Isidro Alcantara, President of Mark Ventures Holdings Incorporated. Hi, Butch. Mr. Yasushi Ota, General Manager of Pacific Metals Company Limited. Welcome. Mr. Hiroshi Tanaka, President and CEO of Mitsui. Mr. Ho Ik Lee, President of the Korean Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Not yet here. Mr. Fuji Nobuo, Vice President of the Japanese Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Welcome. His Excellency Mr. Jared Ho Wei Hong, Ambassador of Singapore. Assistant Secretary Nonita Kagiwa of DENR. Welcome, ma'am. Assistant Secretary Maynardo Montealegre of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Office of Asian and Pacific Affairs. Mr. Bradley Norman, Executive Officer, External Affairs of Oceana Gold, Philippines. Hi, Brad. Mr. Eulalio Austin, President and CEO of Philex Mining Corporation. I don't see him yet in the room. Mr. Jake Foronda of TVI Pacific. Hello. Mr. Roger Dimmel, representing the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Roger. Mr. Joey Aison, President of the Philippine Mineral Exploration Association. He'll be speaking to us later. And Ms. Jenny McEwen, First Secretary of the Australian Embassy. There were a number of mining events that Kevin mentioned earlier. I'd like to run through them again. Mines and Money Asia from March 31 to April 1, 2020 in Hong Kong. Mining Investment Asia from March 17 to 19 in Singapore. And Quanmart Expo from June 17 to 19 in China. But as Kevin said, we'll have to watch out for further developments. And while I have the podium, I'd like to promote an event that Diwata is sponsoring on March 31 in celebration of International Women's Month. The series is called Industry Leaders, and this series is meant to benefit both senior and junior women in the various companies. And we would like to promote mentorship and networking among women and to present top women leaders in the industry. So we are featuring as our first speaker, Ms. Gloria Tan Climaco, who is very well known in the industry. She is chairman of the board of directors of Filminera Resources Corporation, chairman of the board of Mount Labo Exploration and Development Corporation, managing partner of Sage Capital Partners, and member of the board of the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines. So I hope you can join us on March 31. That is a Tuesday, 3 to 5 p.m. at SGB. As you know, Ms. Gloria Tan Climaco was formerly chairman of SGV, for the first woman chairman of SGV. Okay, we now proceed with our industry update from Mr. Joey Aison, President of PMEA. Joey is a graduate of BS Geology from UP Diliman. He trained under the MGB and UNDP for 4 years. He worked in Indonesia for 10 years and also Oceana Limited and Royalco Philippines until 2015. Currently, he does consulting work for a number of companies in exploration management, tenement management, government liaison, and the like. He is also a competent person for geology. Take it away, Joey.
That's good. Brief, sweet and brief. So anyway, this talk was presented at the last PMA meeting, and Kevin coerced me to present it again here. So if you have questions, Director Moncano and Assistant Secretary Kagiwa are there to answer your questions. So just a brief background of PMAA. We started as a IMEC, that's the Exploration Committee under the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce in the Philippines. And this mostly to cater to the foreign companies who were investing in the Philippines at that time. Then with the enactment of the Mining Act and a few of our companies graduating from exploration to mining and incorporating also the other Filipino mining companies, we changed our name to Philippine Mining and Exploration Association. So we are managed by a board of 7 trustees, and we do not receive any compensation, so it's all gratis. There are currently 11 regular members, 47 associate members, 21 individual members, and 17 honorary members. So we meet every first Monday of the month at the 7th floor Elks Club. And we've agreed with Kevin that we'll be having joint meetings with the Philippine Mining Club this year. So just a brief update on the tenement status. For MPSAs, we have actually 275 active and valid, EPs 15, 4 FTA, 64 mineral processing permits, and 133 industrial sand and gravel. So as you can see, there are also a list on which are suspended, expired. I think Oceana Gold is expired with applications for renewal. Consolidated to other mine tenements, that's probably Sagittarius Mines to become an FTA. So I think this is only current until January 30. So if you have questions, you can ask the Director of Mines. There are also a lot of MPSAs applications pending in the region. So these are all what's valid and approved as of January 30 this year. So staff movements at the MGB and DNR. So as you are aware, they have a new management structure, and earlier in January 23, they had about 8 mentioned undersecretaries and 7 assistant secretaries. But in a recent DNR special order, there were only 7 USECs mentioned, and so I think they must have aligned certain functions. And the mining concerns portfolio used to be under USEC 10. There's no more mining concerns, but I think it's now gone to the planning and policy under USEC Mitch Kuna. For the second MICC audit, I understand the field validations have been completed, and they're currently doing the collating of data, and hopefully they will have a report by the end of May 2020. So 17 companies were validated, including the mineral processing plants within these companies. And as I understand, NEDA is asking another 5 million budget to support this validation, since the MPPs were not included in the original budget. So Director Moncano has to find another 5 million to support or request a reduced budget for this. So new issuances, for those of you who are in the dredging, Dow 2019 and 13 is for the dredge activities in the Zambales area. And there's actually a more recent order wherein the minimum capitalization should be 1 billion pesos with a paid up of 250 million pesos. So they've also come up with the guidelines on how to dispose of stockpiles under the small-scale mining permit contracts, and you should show proof of ownership with the appropriate ore transport permit or mineral export processing permit. This one, Memorandum Circular 2019-08. So it just clarifies the definition on open pit. As you are aware, in Dow 2017-10, during the cancellation of the open pit or the open pit ban, they defined open pits as inverted cone with benches along its walls. So the MGB has now defined that these benches should be closed in a polygon, And they also defined other mining methods like open cast, strip mining, and quarrying to differentiate it from open pit. They've also issued guidelines for care and maintenance, MGB Memorandum Order 2020-01. So last year, the main concern here was where to get the budget for this care and maintenance program. So they've now issued the order that it should come from the first year of your mine commissioning fund. They're currently preparing an oversight committee for mine responsibility campaign for 2020. So that's currently being worked at. The main concerns here would be budget allocations and how to fund the program. So initially the idea is to get it from SDMP funds, but this has to be worked out since the expenditures from SDMPs have already been predetermined, so they have to come out with a new order to determine this. And I think they also just submitted proposal to revise the small-scale mining fiscal regime. So as you're aware that the Congress Committee on Appropriations and Ways and Means have approved this House Bill 6135 and imposes a royalty of 3% for those in mineral reservations. They also, I think, were proposing a sovereign wealth fund, highest bidder for the auction of tenements, and includes a margin-based windfall profit tax. So I think it's in the plenary session, and the chamber is well handling to be at Congress, and this has to be harmonized with the Senate version before it passes into law. Mining company updates. This is mostly from our members, Oceana Gold. So as you are aware, they're on care and maintenance, and we have received news that I think there's one party interested to look at Oceana Gold, but he has written to the office of the president, and Oceana Gold is currently, there's a letter from Secretary Medjaldea, because since November there was a blockade imposed by the governor of Nueva Vizcaya. So this letter from ES Medjaldea has requested that the fuel to fund the pump stations to dewater the pit to be allowed to pass. And as for RD Ancheta, they're in negotiation stage now so that it can be allowed to pass. So Brad maybe have more input, so I'm not sure what's the status of this request to allow fuel to go to the barricades. SMI, another FDA, so I think there's a tribal group that filed a motion for declaratory relief last year, and pre-trial should be starting this year so that they can commence operations and maybe also get away with the open pit ban. So unsolicited advice, maybe they could use what these congressmen are saying about ABS-CBN, that it could still operate even if their franchise expired. So maybe those guys could use that reason also. So other matters, next PMA meeting will be on March 2, and we have Ian Moller of FCF talking about their mine. It's a bio-leach operation, so if you want to hear about FCF, please join us on March 2. For those of you who are not members, there's an application form at the table at the back. And our ninth PMA Golf will be at the Orchard Golf and Country Club on March 13. Thank you. So that should be a brief industry update, unless Director Moncano or Asik Kagiwa would have any additions. That should be all. I will just wait for questions. Okay, that's all. Thank you. And the guys are...
The very useful updates, Joey. Next, I would like to call our regular speaker at the mining luncheon, Mr. Sandy Gillis of First Metro Securities, who will give us a stock watch.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to talk about the economic and stock market implications of our talk today. I understand we will be talking about natural resources, and I found out that gold was mined in Japan in a very profitable mine with 40 grams of gold to 1 ton of ore. Very fascinating. And also there was a silver mine that was producing a lot. It was the largest silver mine in Japan's long history. Fascinating also. Oops, that was, yeah, okay. So the mine was producing 38 tons of silver per year and was productive until 1923. So very useful and productive all the way to the 17th centuries. It was used as currency. And then there were also, understand there are oil and gas fields also that were producing until recently. And they produced a very light oil that was suitable for using in automobiles without much refining. So fascinating, and I will just focus on the way that these resources are imported into Japan and which support industries, which therefore push the overall economy. So now, for example, there's Japan Petroleum Exploration Company, which takes in oil and whatever is needed by industry in general and produces the energy that they need. So this powers the overall economy. And I noticed that the economy grew very fast from 1950 to 1990 at a growth of 10 to 15% per year in gross domestic product. And this powered the stock market. The record is that the economic growth grew very fast, 1950 to 1995, at the rate of 10 to 15% per year. And this was when they had a young and strong labor force, which worked very hard and industrialized the country until finally they were a very prosperous nation. And many of them received a well-deserved retirement around the 1990s. The growth rate is depicted over here, growing between 10 and 15% for many, many years because of the large labor force and the forces of industrialization. And secretly, I'm hoping also that the Philippines undergoes this 30 years of 10 to 15% growth over the next 2020 to 2050. But that's a very enviable growth rate, powered by industry, of course, and also powered by the availability of resources. Now, as for the stock market in Japan, they have 3,607 companies, far cry from our 270. And they can be measured by three common indexes. One of them is the Nikkei 225, compiled by a newspaper. And then there's the Tokyo Stock Price Index of 1,669 stocks, the largest category that they have in their first section. This was compiled by the stock exchange itself. And then you have the Standard & Poor's or TOPIX 150, which compiles the stocks in Japan that are open to global investors who are dollar denominated. So what are the most representative dollar investments in Japan that we can put into a global portfolio and then therefore be invested in the whole world? I'll explain one by one. This is the Nikkei 225, which was set up by a newspaper, Nihon Keizai Shimbun, and they would write articles about it. So this is equivalent to the Dow Jones Industrial Stock 30. And this started in 1950. Then the growth rate since 1950 was phenomenal, especially up to 1990s. They had one phase where they were very hungry and driven to succeed, and at the second phase, when they already achieved their financial targets, they're already rich. And I therefore see the growth rate over here as a 22% per year rally, followed by, shall we call it a rest period. But overall, from beginning to end, this index exhibited 8% growth for 70 years, all the way from 100 points to 23,000 points. So that's a phenomenal run. Even our Philippine stocks also grow 8% a year for the past 30 years. Now, my calculation is from 100 points all the way to 23,000 points. You divide 23,000 by 100, and this one raise it to the 1/70. You're going to get a number that's 1.081, Remove the 1 and you have 8%. The Tokyo Stock Price Index also exhibited similar growth, 6% a year for 52 years. Meanwhile, the more recent Standard & Poor's Index grew 7% a year for the past 10 years. So very encouraging and decent numbers, way higher than bond market yields or bank deposits of 1%. I understand that bank deposits in Japan are low because they have also low inflation. So going back to the indexes, the first index was calculated by the newspaper, and the second one is calculated by the index itself using official data. Professional investors use both of them. It's impressive that the Tokyo Stock Exchange was established in 1878. Trading began in June of that year. That was their building up to 1960s, where they had plenty of brokers and traders and dealers on the floor of the exchange. People buying and people selling, hand to hand, person to person. Nowadays, it's the computer that directs other computers to do the buying and the selling, and the people are sitting in the offices looking at their computers. And the Tokyo Stock Exchange has many sections, the first, the second, the third. The third one has the young and emerging market stocks, which is called Market of the High Growth and Emerging Stocks. They also have electronic trading, and they have a partnership with London. There's also a bond market and a futures market. So this one is interesting for foreign investors with money in US dollars. This is a compilation of stocks that are easy to buy and that represent the Japanese economy. These are the largest actively traded 150 stocks. If you buy this, and then you buy the representative stocks in other countries, you will be able to put together a global portfolio that represents the biggest and the best stocks in the world. So if Japan has 150, the US provides 500, Europe 350, Canada 60, Australia 50, Asia 50 stocks, and Latin America 40. So you put it all together, then you have a very representative global portfolio, which I recommend that you track. I won't say we're doing fine because many people are depressed with the local stock market because it's down in recent years. But I'd like to point out that it's been moving up 9% a year for the past 30 years. And if it continues to move up 9% a year for the next 10 years, then our index, which is now at 7,400, could easily reach 17,000 10 years from now, simply by multiplying 7,400 times 1.09 to the 10th power. So you could conceivably get a conservative estimate of 17,000 on the index 10 years from now. This is driven by profits, and the profits of the listed companies are growing between 8 and 12% a year. On a bad year, 8, on a good year, 12%. So your money could conceivably grow 9% a year, conservatively speaking, in the stock market. Actually, the past since 2008, it was running up 14% a year. But in the recent 6 years, it's been slowing down because of overly fast growth. So what happens was, the black line over here represents the average growth rate, but the stock market itself has temporary spikes upward. So therefore, many people think that this spike over here, which is 9,000 on the index, is the reality. I say no. The reality is the average line between 2,000 and 8,000, and that was 14% a year up to here, and then there was a slow motion movement from this point, 9,000 down to 8. So many people are frankly depressed about that, the predicament of local stocks. But I think that the future, even if it's only a conservative 9% a year, can also have temporary spikes that will give it plus 20, minus 10, plus 20, minus 10, plus 20, and minus 10. That's the nature of stock markets. They tend to spike up and spike down. But the average is going to be probably 9%. I think that will be supported by the economic growth of 6%. Okay, I think that concludes my talk. Thank you very much for listening. I'd like to support an initiative of a friend of mine who is trying to get more financial support for student loans. So he said GoPhilippines.org is a collection website for all types of scholarships or low-interest loans. So therefore, if you want to promote financial support for students, education assistance, well, this website is trying to find the willing bankers to consider more consumer loans that will go for tuition, food, dorm, and transport. And I hope that it allows more students to go to either technical vocational school or college or master's or PhD. So if your bank would like to join, or if your company would like to invest in this trend, let's talk during the networking session. Thank you very much and have a good lunch.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce our speaker this afternoon. Mr. Koji Hirai is the Director of the Metals Environmental Management Department of the Japan Oil, Gas, and Metals National Corporation, or JOGMEC. He has more than 25 years of experience in the Japanese governmental organization MMAJ, or the Metal Mining Agency of Japan. Joining MMAJ in 1991, he contributed in coordinating many mineral exploration projects in Asia and South America. After JOGMEC was established by the Japanese government in 2004, integrating the functions of the former MMAJ and the former Japan National Oil Corporation, or JNOC, Koji-san mainly engaged in collecting information on the investment environment of resource-rich countries. Currently, he is in charge of international cooperation projects on human resource development related to mine pollution prevention works in abandoned mines. He has a master's degree in geology and mineralogy from the Hiroshima University of Japan. About JOGMEC, JOGMEC was established on February 29, 2004, pursuant to the law concerning the Japan Oil, Gas, and Metals National Corporation, which was promulgated on July 26, 2002. It integrates the functions of the former Japan National Oil Corporation, which was in charge of securing a stable supply of oil and natural gas, and the former Metal Mining Agency of Japan, which was in charge of ensuring a stable supply of non-ferrous metal and mineral resources and implementing mine pollution control measures. Ladies and gentlemen, to speak on the topic JOGMEC's activities and cooperative relations between the Philippines and Japan in the mining industry, please join me in welcoming with a warm round of applause Mr. Koji Hirai.
Patricia, thank you for your introducing me. Allow me to greet everyone pleasant afternoon. My name is Koji Hirai. I'm the director of the Metal Environmental Management Department of JOGMEC, and I oversee the international cooperation project related to mine pollution prevention work in the abandoned mine. So it's my pleasure to present in today's Philippine Mining Club Networking Luncheon. But first, before I begin my presentation, I'd like to introduce two articles reported last August. The first article was published by the Embassy of the Republic of the Philippines in Japan, entitled "The Philippines and Japan Strength Cooperation on Mining." In that same article, it includes a DENR signed with MOC, with the Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI of Japan, to promote cooperation in the mining and mineral resource sector. The second article is in content posted on the MGB website with the headline, "The Philippines and Japan solidified partnership in the mining and mineral resource sector," where it states that the MOC signing was following by the MOU between the MGB and JOGMEC. So For this afternoon, I'd like to expound the content of this agreement and the cooperation project between the Philippines and Japan related to the sustainable mining activities. Furthermore, I shall be explaining the Japanese mining policy with a special focus on the background and reason why Japan has decided to conduct a cooperation project with the Philippines. So first, I shall be introducing the outline of the activity of JOGMEC. Afterward, I shall be explaining the relation between Japan and Philippines in the mineral mining sector. Hopefully, this will provide you with more information and understanding about the Japanese mining policies. Lastly, I shall discuss the specific content of the MOC signing between the Philippines and Japan. This will validate our cooperation project in the MGB. So, as I have mentioned earlier, I shall be enumerate the outline and the activity of JOGMEC. First, let's watch the YouTube video to know more about it. You can.
The Japan Oil, Gas, and Metals National Corporation, or JOGMEC, is an incorporated administrative agency established with the aim of ensuring energy and natural resources security in Japan. With its technical expertise and financial resources, JOGMEC is engaged in a variety of businesses across the globe. The four pillars of JOGMEC's businesses are oil and natural gas, metals, coal, and geothermal. There are 8 different categories of JOGMEC's businesses in each of the phases of survey, exploration, development, production, and supply. To evaluate resource potential, JOGMEC carries out geological surveys with the government agencies of resource-rich countries as well as foreign companies. The results are passed on to Japanese companies to support their entry. JOGMEC promotes the advancement of resources development projects by providing equity capital and liability guarantees to participating Japanese companies. JOGMEC also plays an important role in the expansion of global recoverable resources. It develops innovative cutting-edge technologies, such as those for the development of unconventional resources and protection of the global environment. JOGMEC also helps match advanced Japanese technologies to the challenges of resources-producing countries. JOGMEC is also responsible for laying the groundwork for the exploration and development of marine mineral resources. Activities include the development of technology for the commercial production of methane hydrate, surveys of seafloor hydrothermal deposits, and development of production technologies. There is close collaboration with other IEA member states to avoid crude oil and LPG price spikes on the international market. Rare metals are also stockpiled to safeguard against short-term supply disruptions. JOGMEC supports pollution control in Japanese metal and coal mines in various ways. Its expertise has been generously shared with resource-rich countries. JOGMEC transfers its accumulated know-how and expertise to such countries, thereby contributing to their environmental protection. JOGMEC is actively involved in resources diplomacy, international cooperation, and human resources development. Engineers from state-run enterprises and others are invited to learn Japan's advanced technologies. JOGMEC holds various lectures and seminars, including investment seminars held jointly with government agencies. JOGMEC, which carries out its businesses around the globe, will continue its sustainable efforts and activities for the effective use of the Earth's limited resources.
So let me begin by describing our organization profiles. As you can see, this slide shows detailed information about the JOGMEC. JOGMEC is an independent administrative agency that was established by the Japanese government. The photo to the left is the JOGMEC headquarters office in Tokyo. The other two photos are our Technology and Research Center in Chiba and Akita Prefecture. JOGMEC is composed of 500 regular employees, half of which are our technical staff, which are the core and strengths of our agency. We also have about 300 non-regular employees. JOGMEC's capital is about 8.5 billion US dollar with an annual budget of 17 billion US dollar as of 2019. It's a massive budget, but most of it are utilized for our oil and gas sector. Majority of the budget are allocated for securing oil and oil gas stockpiling budget. The budget for the metal unit is about 500 million US dollar. So JOGMEC was established in February 2004, integrating the function of the Pharma Metal Mining Agency of Japan and Pharma Japan Oil National Oil Corporation, or JENO. So perhaps some of you are more familiar with the name of the MMAJ, I think. And the JOGMEC mission is to secure a stable supply of oil, natural gas, and mineral resources, as well as coal and geothermal energies. Doing so shall support the operation of Japanese industry activities, as well as the lifestyle of our Japanese citizens. As you can observe, the following slide shows the detailed activity of our metal unit. We conduct geological survey, technical development, as well as financial support for Japanese companies. JOGMEC also provides support for environmental protection and national stockpiling of minor metals and collection and provision of the mining information. Sorry. Now, as you can see on the slide, we have 14 overseas offices worldwide. Our overseas office is mainly responsible for the gathering mining information in their neighboring resource-rich countries and building a relationship with these countries. In Asia, we have office in Jakarta and China. Our Jakarta office oversees operation in Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. So I would like to emphasize that JOGMEC is an independent administrative agency that was established by the Japanese government. The Japanese government, however, developed a mining policy, while JOGMEC implement governmental policy by utilizing the budget allocated by the Japanese government. So therefore, if you learn and recognize the specific activity of JOGMEC, you will understand the role of the Japanese government in its international relations overseas. So now allow me to introduce our activity which were conducted in the Philippines. So in this slide, you can see the history of our exploration activities. From 1970 to 2004, MMAJ held a government-to-government technical cooperation program. For instance, we conducted a joint exploration survey with the local geological survey. There were 181 projects all over the world and with 9 projects in the Philippines. As a result, 15 projects led to development. In 2004, JOGMEC started the farming-style joint venture project with overseas state and private companies. Since 2004, 115 projects have been conducted. This including 5 projects in the Philippines. In the case of 12 successful projects, JOGMEC's status was handed over to Japanese mining and trading company through bidding. So, and now let me introduce JOGMEC, the current exploration strategy in the Southeast Asia. For Japan, Southeast Asia is a key location in the geopolitical point of view. For the mining industry, Southeast Asia has a strong advantage in terms of the reducing the transportation cost due to the proximity to Japan. Cultural similarity is also very important in promoting the mine development project. In my opinion, I believe that the Philippines is the same island nation as Japan. Filipino, I believe, also possess a similar mind and outlook like Japanese people. So, by the way, our targeting commodity in Southeast Asia are copper, zinc, lead, nickel, minor metals, and tin. So, next, I'd like to introduce JOGMEC's past exploration activity in the Philippines. The map of the left is the location of the regional joint survey conducted during the time of MMAJ. 9 projects were carried out from 1971 to 2001, and various basic surveys were conducted on more than 70% of the area in the Philippines. Since JOGMEC shifted to joint venture exploration in 2004, 3 exploration projects have been conducted in the Luzon region, while 2 have been conducted in the Visayas region. All of these joint venture projects with private companies targeting porphyry copper deposit. So this is an example of the exploration activity in the Visayas region. So I skipped. So, and further to exploration activities, JOGMEC held seminar for sharing technical information related to sustainable development and environmental conservation for the mining sector of the Philippines. While exploration activities were being conducted directly to acquire the mining right, sharing of information activity, such as seminar and workshop, were also led to strengthen relationship with resource-rich countries. Okay. This is a workshop in Manila last January. Okay. So, in a few moments, I will explain the Japanese mining policy and the detailed content of the MOC. But before that, to give you some more background, I shall demonstrate the relationship between the Philippines and Japan in mining industry, and how the Philippines is a vital country for securing stable supply of mineral resources to Japan. As you all know, Japan is a resource-poor country, and most of its resources depend on foreign countries. almost 100% of the mineral resources are imported from all over the world. Dramatic economic growth in Asia, especially China, in recent years has increased the global demand for these minerals rapidly. Such a surge in demand means that securing mineral resources is fast becoming increasingly difficult for Japan. On the other hand, the Philippines is a resource-rich country. Its land and resource has the ability to produce and export various kinds of metals. So this is the graph showing the world reserve and production of nickel and cobalt. The Philippines has a high potential to own these minerals. Japan is dependent on importing this commodity from the Philippines about 20 to 30%. So, nickel and cobalt resources that are indispensable raw materials to produce the lithium-ion batteries. The demand is expected to increase rapidly due to the popularity of electric vehicles. So the Philippines has an important resource to sustain the Japanese future industry. And actually, Philippines is a major producer of nickel in the world. Moreover, Indonesia's export ban policy on copper and other minerals ore makes the Philippines an increasingly important supplier of nickel resources in Japan. So, Southeast Asia is a vital source of the nickel. Japan imports nickel ore mainly from Indonesia, New Caledonia, and the Philippines. This slide shows the trend of Japan's import of nickel ore. So, in 2014, Indonesia banned the export of their raw materials, and from 2015, Indonesian nickel ore has totally stopped entering Japan. Also, nickel product smelting in Indonesia can be imported. It is also necessary to secure the nickel ore, not metal. The Japanese industrial policy states that importation of raw materials is equal vital, as it was added value to the smelting and refining process of nickel ore. These products are then sold to Japanese battery manufacturers. So, as an alternative to Indonesian ore, imported nickel ore from the Philippines has increased relatively. As a result, Philippines and New Caledonia have become the two major suppliers of nickel ore. So I'd like to recall the situation where the supplier country of the nickel ore to Japan decreased. The Philippine government, under then former DENR Secretary Lopez, decided to audit all operating and suspended mines while adopting the moratorium on new mining projects back in 2016. Acceptance, processing, and approval of application and project for all metallic and non-metallic minerals. Following the moratorium, the DENR has decided to ban new open pit mines in 2017. So, in response to this action taken by the Philippine government, in my view, the Japanese government ought to build a stronger relationship with the Philippine government, while emphasizing the possibility of sustainable mining by taking the sufficient measure to prevent mine pollution. So, to provide you with the example of a specific corporation, the METI of Japan invited the Deputy Minister of DENR last August through JOGMEC to demonstrate on the circumstance of Japanese mine pollution prevention. They worked and signed a memorandum of cooperation. So this slide shows the content of MOC. So the objective of the MOC to promote cooperation in the mining and mineral resources sector between the Philippines and Japan on the basis of mutual benefit as well as promoting sustainable development of mining industries. The specific item of the cooperation are as follows. This one, improving mining policy for exploration, development, and operation, sharing information on supply-demand balance of mineral resources, a variety of matter related to mining operation, including environmental protection and contribution to local areas, securing safety in the field of mining, so assessing environmental impact in the appropriate manner, deploying the fair and appropriate business activities, and improving investment environment so as to attract investors. So also it is difficult to understand the detailed content of the MOC just by enumerating these 6 items. But in short, the Philippine and Japanese government shall closely exchange information about the various issues related to the mining policy or mining investment in the Philippines through a joint public-private conference established based on this MOC, and to solve the issue related to mining development and operation. In addition to that, with the Philippines being the major producer of mineral resources and Japan being the major consumer, both countries shall establish the win-win relationship in order to promote sustainable mining or responsible mining. With this signing of the MOC, the METI of Japan had stated that this framework shall improve the investment climate in the mining sector of the Philippines. So as a part of this MOC, JOGMEC has decided to carry out the specific cooperation project. JOGMEC as a Japanese governmental policy implementing agency shall support to the MGB with human resource development on the implementing the mine pollution prevention measures in the abandoned or legacy mine. Now, let me discuss some information about the mining pollution prevention countermeasure in Japan. So you can fully understand the reason behind the JOGMEC's provision to technical assistance to the MGB. Japan has a long history of metal mining, and it was once a world-class producer of copper and silver. However, after the 1970s, number of mines in Japan were forced to close their operations. At the same time, mining exposed the environment to some problems, as shown on this slide. Currently, Japan, there are more than 7,000 suspended and abandoned mines nationwide. Among these, about 500 mines cause a negative effect. However, as a result of the long-standing mutual effort conducted by the national government, local authorities, private companies, and JOGMEC, all of these serious problems and effects have already been solved in Japan. So I'd like to enumerate the main function for JOGMEC for mine pollution control. First, JOGMEC provides technical support to local government. Second, JOGMEC provides research and development in order to improve efficiency while reducing the cost of mine pollution prevention. Third, JOGMEC carry out financial assistance to Japanese private companies. So lastly, JOGMEC also conducted international cooperation. So the photo, this photo shows some example of the international cooperation. JOGMEC is involved in promoting international cooperation such as conducting on-the-job training, field survey, and organization of seminars for sustainable development of resource-rich countries. So JOGMEC has since accumulated sufficient knowledge and technology about mine pollution prevention works So with this advantage, JogMec has the ability to share its knowledge and technology to the MGB, which can help in the implementation of mine pollution prevention countermeasure in the Philippines. So 2 months after the conclusion of the MOU between JogMec and the MGB, JogMec was invited to key personnel from the MGB central and regional office to Japan. They have undergone lecture plus field trip on acid mine drainage treatment facility. This picture shows some specific lecture content, and I now display some photo of the site and facility available for visit, such as Matsuo Neutralization Treatment Plant and Itomuka Refinery. So currently, we are in discussing with the MGB on the detail of the cooperation project 2020. So probably after conducting the training program in Japan, JogMec shall dispatch a Japanese expert to conduct the seminar and site visit where mine pollution occurs in the abandoned mine in the Philippines. We shall also consider the conduct of on-the-job training in the specific mine pollution control and monitoring method while discussing specific countermeasures. So that concludes my presentation about Japan's strategy in securing the stable supply of mineral resources. JogMec continue to support human resource development project for MGB personnel, as well as support for mining activity conducted by the Japanese companies, taking into account the responsible mining policy on the Philippine government. I hope my presentation was enlightened to your view on this important subject. Okay? Thank you very much for your time and attention. Have a good time. Salamat.
Arigato gozaimasu, Koji-san, for your presentation. We will now take questions from the floor. Koji-san, most of the concerns here in the Philippines relate to environmental issues. So I'm wondering, what are some practical steps that could be taken by the MGB and the local mining industry from the learnings that they have obtained from the training provided by JogMec in order to assure the public that their concerns about the environment are addressed by mining companies?
生きている山は企業がその対策をやると。で一方で死んだ山っていうのは政府がやらなくてはいけなくてできていない場合が結構全世界的に多いと。
Well, actually, worldwide, it's quite generally the same situation. And with regards to the mines, if the mine is still alive or the mine is still alive, usually the company takes care of it. But once it's an abandoned mine, usually the case is the government is the one to take care of the abandoned mine. But there's a situation wherein a lot of the government could not take care of the abandoned mine pretty well. So that, with regards to that situation, and JogMec has been taking care of this abandoned mine in the past 50 years in Japan.
今フィリピンでは MGB さんの中心になってアバンダントマインとかレガシーマインの対策をずっと進めているというところでそこへのサポート。
And at the same way, like a counterpart here in the Philippines, MGB is also taking care of these abandoned mines here in the Philippines. So with regards to that, we are the ones providing assistance and advice as well.
それが彼らが何年間計画を立ててステップでこうやっていく中で我々がいろいろ日本の経験とかですねこうやってきたことをうまく伝えるように。
So like it is a 5 years, 10 years of a plan, and from there, step by step, we also share our plans and steps we're in or certain procedures that can be done and applied also here in the Philippines.
例えば
Sample.
現地に行ってですねいろいろどういう対策をやればいいかとかどういうのがどういうことやっちゃいけないかっていうのを
we also firstly we also do on the job training as well. Like we actually visit the site and help them assess what are the procedures or what are the countermeasures that can be done on a certain cases that is happening in an abandoned mine.
あとは環境を浄化する新しい技術とかそういうのも技術開発やってるんで、そういうのを紹介してあげて、もしフィリピンでそれが適用できれば。
And also, we are actually also working and research on creating new technologies that can help clean the environment as well. So with regards to this new treatment technologies, that is something that we also provide and assist as well. So in case of those abandoned mines, the treatment is a must. So that is something that we also provide and assist as well.
What happened to these activities, and will you be putting in money or then take over? So what's the agreement here for funding exploration activities in the Philippines?
So with regards to those cases, actually currently worldwide, JOGMEC is ongoing. With regards to our ongoing exploration and projects, it's around 20 to 30. And with regards to the usual cases is we partner or we joint venture with certain companies with the license and be able to gather the mining outputs. So with regards to this one, usually we do a joint venture and we have a certain agreement with regards to the result, and from there we share the profit or we share the result. With regards to previously, during the MMAJ, we were more focused onto a government-to-government kind of partnership situation. But with regards to since it became JOGMEC, we focus on also partnering with private sectors and which has the license and can do the operation for this kind of the mining activities. And from there, we gather and there are cases. There are cases that we pass it. We open this through a bidding to other Japanese companies or foreign companies.
I'd like a bit of a follow-on question to that one. There are many abandoned mines here in the Philippines that need rehabilitation, and obviously those are some of those which you're going to be working with to clean up. But I was wondering about, do you do any research into processing or ways in which we can process tailings, for example, in the context of cleanups? So that's, and just to follow on though, and would you be willing to work with a private company that is specifically looking for opportunities to reprocess tailings?
With regards to those tailing cases, most of the cases on abandoned mines in Japan, these tailings are usually these are already reformed or already being reused in a certain manner. And usually in Japan, it is usually managed by the local LGUs, the local government units. And some cases it was renovated and it became like a park, or usually it is being reinvented into something else. Are you asking the question specifically for Philippines, case of Philippines?
There are people who are looking at ways in which to process the tailings. So I was thinking that you could combine the two, process the tailings to use part of the money to rehabilitate the rest of the mining site?
With regards to those cases, yes, we get increase also with regards to reuse of the abandoned mines, and this is generally speaking. And with regards to those cases, abandoned mines, it's very hard to gain an income from an abandoned mine. So with regards to that, we also look for ways, and we also do accept inquiry and consultation, including Philippines as well.
If there are no more questions, please join me in thanking Mr. Koji Hirai for his very interesting presentation this afternoon.